City of Negaunee regular meeting, August 13, 2026. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lloyd. Kangas.
Here.
Dietz.
Here.
Ganabate.
Present.
Becker.
Yes.
Plummer.
Here.
Ilmanen.
Yes. All right, entertain a motion to approve the agenda, please. All right, Dave. Support. Tracy. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, number 5, public comment. Public comment is the public's time to stand up to the podium and state your name, address if you wouldn't mind, and 3 minutes on the clock is yours.
Hi there, my name is Leslie Hurst. I live at 217 Croy Street, Negaunee. I just wanted, I noticed on your June 11th consent agenda, your interlocal agreement with Ishpeming Township to contract with them for your animal impound, your animal control. I also noticed on the write-up for it, first that it said there was no alternative as stated. I'd like to just respectfully disagree. You could have continued to keep your contract with UPAS. It should have at least mentioned that, because you've had a contract with UPAS for many years to provide these services. So that's just one thing I was wondering why there was, no discussion about why it was changed. What's the reasoning? And that's my next point. I, as a taxpayer, would like to understand, because my taxes pay for this service, because it is required that we have animal control and have an impound. I would like to understand the rationale for the change. By reading the contract, the cost does come about the same per pet. I think with Ishpeming, you're gonna pay a yearly additional $400 fee, which I'm not sure I quite understand. And then there's another part that is unclear. In Article 5, Item 4, the owner fees, it lists like 3 alternatives. I don't know if that means you're gonna pick 1 or 2, or if this was just a boilerplate contract and it didn't get updated, so, I think that might need to be a little clearer, what the owner fees are. I do feel there is a significant, even though there's not a significant difference in cost, I feel there is a significant difference in the ability to provide humane care for animals that are impounded. And I can understand if there's a logistical issue, maybe overnight, one night, but it's not real clear how long an animal might stay there, what kind of treatment they're gonna get, what kind of, the conditions at the shelter. There's been well, it is considered a shelter. I mean, it's called Ishpeming Animal Control Shelter, and they are inspected yearly. They've had a lot of write-ups, but they have been successfully addressing those write-ups.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, so I do have a lot of questions, and I'm just wondering, how do I get these answered? How do we discuss this more? The biggest concern for me is the humane treatment of these lost pets and the process you go about of redeeming them and notifying people that you're holding a pet. Okay, and I can give an example of this black cat that recently happened. So, but I don't know how much you want to go into it now, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Want me to be next? Matt Howard, 521 Elm Street. I'm also Howie. Y'all know me. Of course, I won't go through all the AKAs that I've been called by the people in this room, but I got a little list here. Garbage cans. What the hell? What really? We couldn't survive with the garbage cans we had. We got older people They don't have place to put, I got people calling me, telling me, my wife can't move these garbage cans when they're empty in our garage. What are you gonna do when it snows? On garbage day, the garbage man can't come until the streets are plowed, and the plows can't come until the garbage cans are all put away. Good luck. The stop signs on Baldwin and Brown. I've lived in this town, I've driven in this town for almost 50 years. I don't remember there ever being an accident there. Now we got stop signs, it's almost like there's a special needs person living on Cherry Street, and we put up a stop sign for that special needs person. Because 90% of the time you're stopping for nobody. Foolishness. And then, in 2017, if my numbers are correct, the city of Negaunee had less than $10 million outstanding debt. That's what we were supposedly carrying at that time. Since 2017, or 2017, now in 2025, our debt is up to 22 million, over $22 million. That's money already promised out. That's our money that they've already promised out. That's before anything happens. That's before, I mean, really? We gotta, start thinking with your wallets here. Quit thinking with my wallet. Because I'm gonna put you on a goddamn allowance. Like I would a little kid. You're not gonna tell me what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna get. And you're gonna have to live within the budget. And if you can't do that, get the hell out and find somebody
30
who
seconds,
can.
Thank you.
My name is Elaine Alt. I live on Oasis Street. I am on the Senior Center Advisory Board. We wrote a letter to the council members, I hope everybody got one, asking for consideration in a committee to address senior center issues. We are upset because Mr. Heffron did not show respect or professionalism to Christy when she was here, nor to Tam for her credentials and experience. Tam wrote a grievance letter, which we mentioned last month at the meeting, because the morning after she introduced herself in April at the council meeting, Mr. Heffron walked in the morning to threaten her that he could fire her at will whenever he wanted. That is why she wrote the grievance letter. Everyone loved Tam. She had more credentials to be the senior center director than Mr. Heffron has for his position as city manager. I don't think he values or appreciates the seniors. He does not show respect or care to the advisory board members. We didn't even know that we had a new director until I called and asked the gal that works at the front desk. And you, the city council members, are supposed to be his boss, as we talked about before. You need a procedure to address complaints about the way the manager behaves, and actions you need to take regarding disrespectful and unprofessional behavior on his part. You need to hold him accountable. That's your job. I don't think Mr. Heffron appreciates how much work the senior center does for over 2,200 seniors. So, please do not ignore the needs of the senior center and other departments. It's not just the senior center. Do your job and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Kristen Rainio, Alice Street. Hey, I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. I talk fast, so I'll try my best just to slow down. So tonight here, I'm gonna be watching the council prepare to hide the performance review of the highest paid, most powerful employee in the city, by his own request. I want to address the agenda items requesting a closed session for the city manager's evaluation under SEC 15.268A of the Open Meetings Act. I understand this provision technically permits a closed session when the employee being evaluated requests one, but legally permitted and in the public's best interest are not the same thing. The evaluation was conducted by a paid consultant, the Harding Group, using public funds about a public employee whose salary and performance directly affects how our city is run. Residents have a right to understand how their tax dollars are being spent and whether the person managing our government is meeting expectations. When the person being evaluated is the one who gets to decide whether the evaluation happens in public, it puts a choice for transparency in the hands of the person with who has the most to gain from avoiding scrutiny. That's a structural problem regardless of intent. Technically, this allows the SEC 15268A, technically allows this if the employee requests it. But let's be honest about what this means. The person being evaluated is the one choosing whether his own evaluations are not public. And that's not oversight. Residents pay for the Harding Group evaluation. Residents pay the city manager's salary, which is hefty. And it goes up like crazy every year. Unbelievable. Anyway, residents deserve to know how he's performing, not a closed-door verdict announced weeks or months later, filtered through whatever the council decides to share. And I ask every member of this council here tonight to think hard before you vote to close that door. You don't work for the manager, you work for us. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Howdy, Kevin Finchett, 323 Cherry Street. Just want to second, first Cherry Street speaker about her concerns about youth laws. A little confused about that. I'm here, I know it's the data center thing, so I just have some thoughts on the data center issue. I think we should be more clear and have higher demands. I read the piece that we're gonna put into law. So my good Seattle friend, he's a vice president at Google. He's coming here to fish mid-September. He asked me the other day on the phone, how many data centers am I going to pass driving to the Yellow Dog River? He said it with dry mirth and eyes a twinkle. I asked, how many would you pass in Seattle driving through the acres of Cascade Forest toward the Skagit River? He gave a tech industry chuckle, which is to say, what we both knew, zero. They would never build data centers in their gorgeous North Cascade Forest. They will build them here. And this is not directed at you all like condescendingly or aggressively. This is kind of my mantra. We gotta like not be suckers concerning what's going on here. Where's my next thing? The wealth of these companies, these tech companies, makes Rockefellers look like blue-collar workers, as an economist wrote recently in the Times. Mark Zuckerberg just rode his, basically a Titanic-sized giga yacht, not to be confused with the mega yacht, into Lake Union, parked it, moored, got off, fired 1,000 employees, got back on and left. Those thousands of employees make more money, have more wealth than anyone else who's here in the room, maybe one other person. So all I want to say is if you allow, I'm totally against data centers up here at any cost. I lost my job to AI. I'm an award-winning writer. They replaced me with bad curriculum writing machines. I think if we allow a massive tech money-making machine in our county, an ugly water energy and sucking machine in place of a forest, let's not be suckers. I'm not even joking. I think we should put in there directly, $100 million should go to our community and be spread among the citizens if this is allowed. Like, you can write that down. You don't need a lawyer to. You can put that in there. Let's not be like what they call, the hick farmers in Wyoming who sold their land in the beginning to frackers for small prices. Let's be like those people, if we do sell, which I don't want to do land and allow them to come, let's be like those people who waited until the end and made tons of money. on the fracking companies. That's all.
Very good, thank you.
Good evening. My name's Austin Mount. I live about 90 miles west of here, outside of Kenton. While we're separated by a few townships, we all share the same regional power grid and the Upper Peninsula lakes. What happens to the lakes and utility rates here in Negaunee sets a precedent that impacts our local fishing, our environment, and all our pocketbooks all across the UP. I've spent 20 years in IT, and I've served as a software engineer, a network administrator, a school district IT director, a systems administrator that sat in John Deere's primary data center, and today I work as a senior infrastructure engineer at CrowdStrike, which is one of the largest cybersecurity companies in the world. Data centers aren't inherently bad. They're the backbone of our economy, and you use them every day, probably without realizing it. They're just simply big buildings with lots of computers in it. And the ordinance that you guys are going to bring up today does a great job of addressing secondary issues like noise and zoning, but it does little to protect our natural resources and our pocketbooks. I really feel like we need to address 5 main issues in the ordinance. The first is the water problem. We can't allow evaporative cooling because it consumes millions of gallons of fresh water daily and it threatens our lakes. We must mandate 100% closed loop direct to chip cooling. And this forces the use of internal recycling loops which use dielectric fluids or glycol, and that guarantees a net zero drain on our municipal supply and our lakes. Then we have the power problem. A massive data center pulling straight from our existing grid increases demand, but it doesn't address the supply, and it sends our utility rates through the roof. The solution to this is that we must require a net zero grid impact. The developers must fund 100% of all grid updates and build independent energy offsets like rooftop solar or a hydroelectric plant, and these must be fully online prior to the facility being used. Then also there's the transparency issue. Tech companies routinely use non-disclosure agreements to lock city boards into massive backdoor deals before the public signs out. So the solution to this is we must place an absolute ban on NDAs regarding public utility allocations. Resource demands must be completely transparent to Negaunee citizens from day one.
30 seconds remaining.
The obsolescence problem. Cloud tech changes fast. If a facility becomes obsolete or a company goes bankrupt, our community gets stuck with a vacant concrete eyesore. And the solution to this is to create an escrow fund ahead of time so that they fund the decommission of the facility. The last one is clear cutting problem. And since I'm running out of time, I'll just let you know that I have a handout and offer, myself if anybody would like to discuss offline.
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Mayor, there's public comment during the data ordinance, right? Or
Yes,
am I not
yeah,
mistaken?
it's a public hearing.
Okay.
Any further public comment?
Hello, Becky Dale, I'm over on Pine Street, and I came because I'm against data centers no matter what. I hear a lot of if they do, then they should pay this ahead, and I just think under any circumstances, don't do it. It'll pollute water. There's a homeowner from Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. She said they had a beautiful creek running through their property, and before the construction of their nearest data center was completed, their water had been drained out of the creek and replaced with like milky toxic stuff. So I don't think anything is worth taking a risk like that with our nature here. It's too beautiful to ruin. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Kathleen Peterson, 103 East County Road. I'm also on the advisory board for the senior center. And, with the, comment that, Kristen had made about the evaluation of our city manager, I'm hoping that you will not go behind closed doors so we can hear what his evaluation is. We paid for it, we paid his salary, I think we deserve to know what his evaluation is.
Thank you.
Mark Davatoa, project manager with Banish. I was the former public works director and the city engineer for 6 years. My wife and I, we have a big family, 6 kids, go to Negaunee Public Schools. Recently I was offered a job, taking on an engineering management opportunity, so I took it. I have a couple things here. A couple about Nate. He loves Negaunee, positive, optimistic, that allows projects to actually happen. On every project that I've worked with Nate, he pushes for the most value for every resident. For instance, example is the Hungerford project that's happening right now. That went from a simple sewer replacement, patching the road in, to adding sidewalk ramps, some restoration. We were able to add a portion of Ann Street to pave that. He pushed for, with the help of like Dave, to get grant funding. I think that had $350,000 in grants. So that's right around like, you know, the heart of the Negaunee, another heart, considered downtown, but the football field. So all that work happened around the football field. He's one that pushed for it. Just take that into consideration. Positive, optimistic. If you're gonna be pessimistic, yeah, that's gonna kill a lot of projects. That's it.
Good, thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none, closing public comment. Number 6, public hearings. 6.1, second reading data center ordinance number 156.
The City of Negaunee's Planning Commission has drafted and recommended a data center ordinance. This proposed ordinance will provide development regulations if a data center or similar use to a data center would be proposed to the City of Negaunee. The proposed ordinance limits data centers to industrial and mining zones. Recommendation: hold public hearing and second reading, adopt ordinance number 156, data ordinance.
Entertain a motion to go into open. Okay. I'll open the public hearing. And now we pretty much do another public comment, correct? Anybody wants to make comments?
Carrie Palmer, Negaunee resident, and I read the data center ordinance, and I thought there were some limitations or weaknesses that could be improved upon. And I could email all of this that itemized to everyone too. And I know the sections for the data ordinance states that it can only be developed on industrial mining zones, and it has the section numbers, but I think verbiage would be good to just clarify that. Page 4 of the packet that was online, the sensitive receptors, it says any residence where such residence is not located on a parcel with an existing industrial, commercial, ... I think clarity or expansion of sensitive receptors would be about people who live in commercial buildings. Page 5 of that PDF, connection to public water and public sewer required, that's great. Maximum usage, nothing's specified about the maximum usage because they use a lot of water. Does this have to go through NEWA? It doesn't say that. The one gentleman here said only closed loop system, and that's what I heard at from Sands Township, that they're planning on they're doing a data center ordinance They're gonna have a closed loop system where wastewater must be transported, in this case, to the Marquette Waste Facility for filtration. Also, page 6, unless physically impossible, on 2 and 3 would be to the greatest extent feasible. I think there's too much ambiguity and to consider rewording that. Page 6, noise, vibration, to reflect in 1AB, that the noise should be measured from the property line of the data center, not the property line of the entity that's being affected by the noise. So that's another thing. Page 7, lighting. Well, how do we measure lighting? And page 10, environmental community impact analysis. And then on page 11, it lists a whole thing, a variety of different things, including glare. I thought maybe next to glare would be excessive light. Again, specifying maximum usage of water per day, and Sands Township, they're actually doing a moratorium on it, but I think that maybe we should consider having a moratorium until we have revisions that we are satisfied with. It could be stronger, it could be clearer, like with the loop system. Oh, and another thing that they're doing, in Sands Township, they're gonna require cleanup when data center closes, whenever that might happen. So that's another thing that can be added. So I don't think the ordinance is ready quite yet. I think maybe even working with this gentleman here would be a great idea. Hold off, please think about it, revise this, it could be a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, my name again. There's only one good place for a data center, and it ain't here. The best place for a data center is somewhere else. Far away from Lake Superior, far away from Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Ontario. You guys should know the rest. Let them take water out of the ocean, purify it if that's what they need. I don't give a shit. Remember, I am a builder. So having a data center put up here could make me possibly millions and millions of dollars. I would not trade my backyard for that millions of dollars. And my backyard ain't that damn big.
Great, thank you, Matt.
My name is Johnny Hayne. I'm a resident of Negaunee Township. One of the industrial areas is right in front of where we live. We live in a residential section, rural residential on South Basin Drive. The groundwater across the world is being poisoned by these data centers. And most of us live off of wells out there. Do we really want Teal Lake and our wells being poisoned? Now I realize you can't ban them. I realize you could very well get sued. But I agree, we should put a moratorium. Sorry, I'm a little pregnant, so my brain and the words aren't really coinciding together. But we should really think about this before we just throw, oh yeah, let's put them in industrial and mining areas. I don't come out for politics often, but you'll see me here more and more until you guys have a more clear picture of what we're doing with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanna second some things people said. I think working with him, very pragmatic, you, like, let's wait on this. The ordinance wasn't clear to me. I read a lot. I didn't get it. They're gonna come try to pick this apart. And I just wanna say the last thing, it's like, you may not be able to ban them, but, municipalities, you know, for time immemorial have treated different businesses differently. You treat an auto body shop differently than a strip club. You treat a liquor sales place different, you know, than a place that sells UP t-shirts. You can write this in, and like, I'm really worried about it. It's a joke amongst, you know, some of my friends who are in the tech industry. It's not a joke to me, and they don't need to build it here. It's not in my backyard type of thinking, like the gentleman here said, and I totally agree with him. It's like, put it in your backyard. The amount of land out there, I'm just so against it. And I mean, honestly, for $1 billion spread among the people, I think that's the only 100 million I said earlier. I don't know that doesn't even seem reasonable, the amount of wealth these people have. I just can't believe it, so, thank you.
I'm gonna be quick. I just wanna reiterate what they say. I don't think the ordinance is ready as is. There's a lot of not so much ambiguity, but it's not clearly defined. And you can't ban them, it's against Michigan law, but you can put them so restrictive that it makes it very difficult, and you have to protect our natural resources. So I just wanna go on record in saying that. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more thing I would like is some clarification on who do these centers benefit? Because I don't think they benefit the average person. I think they do benefit the billionaires and corporations. And what I've heard is they don't really supply enough jobs beyond the construction, and they will actually kill jobs for people who have jobs that they'll be taken away and replaced. So I would like clarification on that as well.
Thank you.
I agree. I don't think the ordinance is ready. I really hope and pray that none of you at this table has signed an NDA with anybody for any of this. Don't do it. We're gonna find out anyway. That's all.
Any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And, entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 1568 ordinance. We have a motion first. Okay. All right, Dave?
I'll support it when you discuss.
Very good, thank you. All right, Dave, what you got for us?
Well, remember when the marijuana ordinance went through for marijuana establishments or growing facilities, whatever in Negaunee? We did pretty much the same thing. We made it pretty hard for someone to come in within the city area, downtown area with certain distance from school and all that. We kind of, lack of a better term, kind of pinned them in pretty good where they could go. Needless to say, no one ever followed up on it. Where did they go? They all went into Marquette, they went into Harvey, they went other places. So we put something on the books to make it not as easy, I guess, for that to happen in town here. So being said that, Mr. Plummer and Mr. Becker on the Planning Commission, they were involved in the making up of this ordinance and that, and I have great faith in the gentlemen, the information they looked into, they provided, and I'm sure it went through our attorney also, he's looked at it too, so there's some things, there's some things that might be missed. I agree, okay? I'm not gonna say it's 100% perfect. Nothing is. But it's a heck of a good starting point, and for where it reads, it seems pretty, it's kind of like the marijuana ordinance thing. It makes pretty darn hard for someone to come in and say, okay, we're gonna put a pot shop right there. No, you can't do it. And so the way this is written, to me, it reads pretty much the same thing. So I have faith in the ordinance, the way it's written, and
Very good, thank you. Mr. Becker?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one that put this on the planning commission's plate, I guess, in the first place, simply because we didn't have any ordinance at all. And we, without that, we have no teeth. We have no ability to regulate a data center that would come and want to open up here. So the efforts of the planning commission were strictly to find ways to wrangle that as best as we possibly could. That being said, I'm open to the possibility of a moratorium. I think that's a perfectly fine option, but it only buys us a certain window of time. And, it's probably less than 12 months. So we need to ultimately still have an ordinance that 100% can be improved upon, but there's nothing that stops us from adopting this today and adopting revisions to it in a month or 2 months. So that's all I have to say on this.
Very good, thank you. Any further council comment?
Yeah,
Amanda?
I think that, this gentleman here, Austin, brought up a great point. And I think that, maybe we do need to go back to the drawing board, put through a moratorium and go back to the drawing board and add in these extra, stringent stipulations. None of us want, I think, pretty much a consensus, none of us wanted to center here. So, these are things maybe that we didn't think of originally that we could, go back to planning commission and, get these things added in. And, we have an asset sitting in the room here that could probably help us with that, so, that's all I gotta say.
Very good, thank you. Tracy, Jeff?
So, like John said, we worked on this together on the planning commission, knowing that this was not gonna necessarily be a perfect ordinance. And the more you learn about data centers, you keep learning newer and newer things about the impacts. This is unfolding rapidly, and we tried to put something together that has some guardrails. I think it's a good document, but I think there's also changes I can foresee that we might want to make. I particularly like the idea of the closed loop system of dealing with wastewater. Even though I believe they would have to go before NEWA and get approved for the water usage, we're not sure what that wastewater 100% is gonna look like. And every time I'm studying this, I'm learning new things. And so I guess, even though I was part of drafting it, I think it's a very good start. I also would like to see a little more input. Tonight's been very useful. And the planning commission, we didn't have many people showing up with opinions. It would be nice to see this level of involvement at the planning commission level when we are forging these ideas. Because I think all of us want to have something in place that can be legally binding and maintain our quality of life. We don't want to see what people feel about data centers. We don't want to see it damage our quality of life. I think we're all on the same page, and we understand how impactful and often negative the results of these data centers. And if I can, am I allowed to ask the attorney a question?
Absolutely.
Mr. Attorney, are we legally allowed to pass a moratorium and an ordinance, or are those two contradictory?
I would say or, not and.
Okay.
I assume that this question, kind of a related question, would come up as to if we decide that the ordinance is premature for whatever reason, can we pass a moratorium this evening as opposed to an ordinance regulating the use? And typically I would say that you would want a public hearing before you pass a moratorium. You'd want to do some homework to ensure that that's the right move, because moratoriums need to pass the smell test. You need to demonstrate that you have a need to study an issue further, a new emerging issue, much like data centers, and you need more time before anything were to come into town and open up shop under an ordinance. That said, the fact that you have had a public meeting on this ordinance twice now, and you have received public comment, expertise from your planning commission, expertise from your zoning administrator, your city manager on these issues, and you have gathered quite a few facts. I think a moratorium, if it were entered into tonight, would stand up in court if ever challenged, because you have done your homework. again, that presumes you still need more time to study this issue. My suggestion, if that's the route the council is interested in going, you do limit it. The maximum a moratorium in Michigan can survive a court challenge is a year. You have been studying this issue already for probably 3 months, I would say, in earnest. And so if you do choose to enter into a moratorium in lieu of a ordinance tonight, you want to keep in mind that window of time you really, and you need to move forward in good faith to study. You can't just use a moratorium in order to run the clock. So I guess those are my thoughts on this issue, that the zoning administrator may also have some comments that may be helpful. May not.
Yeah, so like Mr. Becker was stating, he approached the planning commission about creating this ordinance as we wanted to set apart some guardrails for, you know, if a data center ever were to be created here. So that's why we worked on this for the last, 3 months to get at least some guardrails in place, right? So if anyone were to come to us, we have at least some guardrails in place. Some of the comments made today about, adding things to this ordinance is something we can always do. You can always amend an ordinance. They don't exist and they're just there and they're just in stone. We can always come back and change it with recommendations from other people. So we spent a good time with this. I just think that, in my opinion, getting this on the books places us in a better place. Like if someone were to try and come to the city of Negaunee to create one of these, just so we have these guardrails in place. Because if we don't have these guardrails in place, and say the moratorium lapses, because we're still constantly going back and forth with amendments we could add in the future, we're going to be allowing them wherever they want to put them, right? Because if we don't say you have to be in a certain area, they would be, say, allowed to put it in old Russo's building, right? Like they could, because we don't have any guardrails in place at all. So that's just why we wanted to get guardrails in place. And then, like I said, we can amend it in the future with further ideas. And that's kind of where I stand at it, is that we want to get this on the books, so then we can come back to it even next month at the Planning Commission and discuss some of these items that were brought up at the meeting today, and we can always add them in. But we can't just outright ban them, right? Like we can't, like a moratorium will end at a certain point, and if we don't have anything on the books, they're allowed to put it anywhere that would be zoned commercial, industrial, or mining. And we have the guardrails in place here to where you look at the setbacks that are put on here, it's 200 feet, right? So a 200-foot setback is gonna make it so you need at least a 20-acre parcel to site one of these, right? And all of our like commercial area or some of the industrial over off of like up by Everett Street over there, that's actually industrial over there. So a data center, if we don't have these guardrails in place that are identified here, they could drop one over in Everett Street as well, right in that residential neighborhood. So this is why we wanted to get this on the books, to have real guardrails to prevent these from being sited anywhere a residence would be located. Furthermore, we also have them providing, if they were to come, all the environmental concerns would have to be addressed prior to them even presenting a project to the Planning Commission. All the noise concerns would have to be addressed. Their packet for application would have to be probably that big. It's just something that we have to be in front of, because if we're not in front of it, the moratorium ends, someone could just come in and drop one wherever they want to, basically, other than a residential neighborhood. Like we could stop that, but they could be right next to a residential neighborhood, like right on top of it. So that's why we focus on getting this together.
There you go. Tracy, what you got?
I agree with Councilmember Becker, getting something on the books, and then it can go back to the Planning Commission and amend easily.
May I finish some of my comments?
Absolutely.
After the question. So to explain too, I think we're all pretty proud of what we started here. I'm glad John brought this to the forefront. It's something that really a lot of towns aren't even looking at, and so they're completely open to having a data center move in with no guardrails in place. And the more I look at it, and especially, I wear two different hats when I'm on the planning commission. It's very different than sitting here where I'm an elected official, and the public is asking for something, and the public tonight, I think, shows a very deep concern about maybe loopholes in what we've produced so far. For a data center, even though I do think it's a very good start, I do fear, the more I look into it, and I've learned a lot even the last couple of weeks, I do fear if there is a property that's somehow not on our radar that we might have missed, and this ordinance isn't robust enough, we could still, with this ordinance, have a data center move in, and we would be stuck with these guidelines. The more I think about that, I would lean towards a moratorium, where we could actually have 12 months to make sure we perfect this, of what's already a great start. And it's not me throwing our planning commission under the bus, we put a lot of time in on this thing. And there's only so much any layperson and even experts in zoning like David, there's always new things developing and new developments on the legal front too. So I know there's a motion on the table. Myself personally, I would lean to the moratorium, so we could fine tune this and we wouldn't have the threat of a data center finding a loophole in the interim while we're trying to add some more guardrails to our original document. And again, it's not to throw this document under the bus. It's just I'm listening to all of you, and I'd like to err on the side of caution and make sure we don't put an ordinance out that miss something. Because we do have a lot of unique industrial zones and mining zones, of course, that are served by a great power supply grid. And so, could we have missed something? We could have missed something. And this is a start. But again, my final thing I'll say, I would be leaning more to the moratorium at this point, so we actually have 12 months to perfect what we've already started. And I particularly like the closed loops. I just learned about the closed loop system recently, and there's a lot of things that we could probably fine tune and just guarantee this will offer our quality of life here the protection necessary if a data center is interested in our community. Thank you.
Any further council comment? Hearing none. With that, we will go to the vote. Let's do a roll call vote on this one, please.
Alright. Genghis?
Yes.
Dietz?
Yes.
Benavate?
Nay.
Becker?
Yes.
Plummer?
No.
Ilmanen?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on. 6.2, Commercial Rehabilitation District Tax Abatement, 415 Iron Street. Dave, a little background, if you could, please.
Enclosed is the application for 415 Iron Street for a CRD tax abatement. The public hearing was properly advertised and posted on the city's website. Recommendation, hold a public hearing, approve the CRD application for 415 Iron Street for 4 years.
Very good, thank you. All right, I will open the public hearing.
Hi. Oof. I'm the landowner there. This is a heavy meeting. I was not too shake it up here. So I did all that work over there, and I was hoping for a 4-year tax abatement, for commercial rehabilitation. I'm prepared, but no. You guys got a lot to say. I love Negaunee. I'm really invested in Negaunee, and I feel like this pause on the increasing the property taxes would allow me to just kind of further enrich my employees that I have currently, and maybe hire more people. Get my feet under me before we really get going. I mean, we're already getting going. I don't really want to. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any further public comment regarding 6.2? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion for 6.2 Commercial Rehabilitation District Tax Abatement of 415 Iron Street.
I'll make a motion to approve the CRD application for 415 Iron Street for 4 years.
Support. And support. Becker. All right, Amanda, what else you got?
I just think that this is a really good way to support small businesses when they're starting out. Taxes are a bugger. So hopefully this will help her business flourish and then flourish. And she'll be able to really grow before she has to get down to the nitty-gritty of extra taxes.
Very good, thank you. John?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. I really appreciate your investment in the downtown and in our community. Happy to support it.
Any further council comment? Dave, please.
I also want to thank this young lady for having the commitment to invest in our community, start up a business, and I give you all the credit in the world, and if I'm not mistaken, my wife has been in your store a few times already, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Tracy? No? Jeff?
Building looks great. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. St. Andrew?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, I just want to remind everyone here that the city of Negaunee really went out to create this program several years ago. Unfortunately, that program sunsetted through state law about a year ago. And working with our partners at LSCP and the ambassadors of Marquette County, we were able to go testify and speak on behalf of how well this program has worked. I believe we've had 4 or 5 businesses almost now, I don't recall exactly, that have taken advantage of this. Shayla's business was placed on hold because of that circumstance, but luckily after they passed the state budget, they passed that new law and recreated that, I believe, for several years to come. Shayla has really impressed me in the DDA. This has to go before the DDA first, and they made the recommendation to approve this at the 4-year level to the council. Not only did she start her flower shop in the back of the laundry facility, which surprisingly a long time ago, and there may be some people here, I don't know, that remember that used to be a flower shop back in the day. And she's returned it like 360 degrees. Not only that, she's made major investment up on Rail Street by putting greenhouses or hothouses up there, which consequently also at one time had that there as well. So she's growing flowers here. She has a staff. She's offering not critical services, but services people want, people like. Things for our downtown, and putting a major investment in a building, saving and preserving that building for years to come. I just want to remind folks of all the investment she's put in, all the time that our staff, LSCP, and the Marquette County ambassadors have worked in Lansing with our state representatives and our senators and the governor to make this a possibility today.
Very good, thank you. Any further council comment? No? All right, with that, we will take let's do another roll call vote.
Alrighty, Kangas?
Yes.
Dietz?
Yes.
Ganavate?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Plummer?
Yes.
Ilmanen?
Yes. Thank you, Dave. Moving on, number 7. All right, please refrain from comments. Moving on, number 7, unfinished business, seeing none. Number 8, new business. Please refrain from whatever we're doing over there. Number 8, new business. 8.1, MDNR Land and Water Resolution, Negaunee Ice Arena. And Dave, background, please.
At the June 11th, 2026 regular council meeting, the council approved a resolution for an MDNR grant resolution for the Negaunee Ice Arena for $400,000 with a $400,000 match for a total of $800,000 project cost. After discussions with the DNR, it was recommended that the city request the full allowed amount for the land and water grant application. The new application would be for $500,000 with a $500,000 match for a total project cost of $1 million. Recommendation, approve the amendment.
Thank you. Nate, you wanna have a little background to that?
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, this all ties into the recent millage that was passed with the ice arena. We were hopeful to get this grant, and we're still waiting to find out whether we're gonna get it. The DNR has been going around to site locations for people who apply for these type of applications. And they recommended that we move this from 400 to 500 because they felt like it would be leaving $100,000 on the table. I don't think that guarantees anything, but when I hear that type of language being used, it leads me to believe that we may be in very close running to being approved for this grant, which should be helpful because then we can use it for facilitating the overall project that we already have talked about several times. Now, if we don't get the grant, we can still move forward with our project, just not the same level that we'd like to have. But this will certainly help us be able to add additions to the ice arena and cover ADA compliance, locker rooms, upgrades, all that type of stuff. So it'll save some money on the front end from the local taxpayers, and this money all comes from the federal government technically, and I don't know exactly where they get the money, but some of it is most likely from very typical resources like cutting trees down or mineral extraction. There's taxes paid on that type of stuff. So this is a big benefit. If we can get another $100,000 out of them, that's great. And if we can get the grant in our hands, we'll know roughly around December if that's going to occur.
Very good, thank you. With that, we'll entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the Michigan DNR land and water resolution for the Negaunee ice arena.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Tracy, thank you. Anything further, John?
I mean, this is, money that, the voters have already told us to spend on this project, and, it would leave money on the table if we don't up the, grant application. So this is, a great way to, stretch our dollars further.
Thank you. Tracy?
John, it's perfect.
Any further council comment? Jeff? No? Seeing none? All right, with that, we will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Good, motion passes. Moving on, 8.2, live stream discussion. We don't have a background for that one, Dave.
There is no background, but I believe this was,
Joe is here.
yeah, Joe is here from 906, and this was to do live streaming at the city council. I believe at one of your previous meetings, you requested some information about live streaming.
Yeah, I can give some background, Mr. Mayor. We have Joe here from 906 Technologies. They are working to do all of our technological activities here at the city. I did ask him after council had directed myself and the city attorney to get more information on this, so he has provided a couple options for us, and he's here to kind of present those options tonight and to answer questions you guys may have on that. Some of them are probably very technical, which I know nothing about, maybe some of us don't, so he's the guy that can tell us.
Very good, thank you. With that, Joe,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
I'm sorry?
The floor is yours.
Oh, okay, well, like Nate said, at his direction, I put together two different solutions for you folks to meet the ADA and Open Meetings Act compliance things that you want to get addressed. This would be for closed captioning, recording to the website, and then archiving software to be, or meetings to be played at a later date for both deaf and blind people. So that is what I put together, working with Mike Adams from the city of Marquette, who has gone through this and maintains all of it for the city of Marquette, and he is very helpful. Now, what I put together for you folks was two different solutions. The first one, that is much more expensive, of course, is a higher end solution. It should be
considered to be a system that would be in place for about 10 years and would be at a cost of about $9,500 a year. And the second solution is more of a watered down one that I think we could live with, but substantially cheaper. And that system would be something that would require a little more intervention from people before the meeting for starting it up, running the software, and assuring it's connecting to the internet. So hopefully you have both of those proposals and have read through them, see where they're at.
Would you mind fielding questions from the council?
No, not at all.
Council members, any questions for Joe? What's your last name again? Menzie. Any questions for Mr. Menzie?
Maybe a little more thorough explanation of the second option,
Okay,
exactly what
so the
that
second option doesn't, like, the first option includes like big screen TVs that presenters or developers and stuff can pull maps up for the community to be able to see. It's a lot higher quality resolution or sounding mics for clarity, that kind of stuff. And then it's just the overall guarantee and the length of the equipment, how long it lasts. Like I said, we're talking 10 years is the average for that equipment. And then there's professional support from the company that makes that equipment. This wouldn't be something we would put in place. This is a vendor that we vetted for the city. So that you would be dealing with this company, which is called Tri-City Electric. And they would be the ones to put in this solution, and they do it all over the United States for city council chambers. And this is what, like, the city of Marquette uses, where they've got those big screen TVs, and people from the community can put up PowerPoint presentations or do whatever they need to do to get their point across and show more information. And the same thing, developers really like it when they're gonna go do a development or something like that. They can pull up plans, do all of that. So it's kind of nice, but we're talking budgets, right? And you guys know better than me what is there. I just wanted to give you a range of both of them. The second one, what I put together, is basically does not include any TVs. It just basically includes the mic, the software, which is an open source streaming software that records and does the captioning and everything and meets the bare minimum of the Open Meetings Act and gets it to the website. But is, as you guys can see, quite a bit of a difference in price. Total up from here on out. But I think we were somewhere around, $6,000 for the lower end solution, $97,000 for the higher end.
So 6,000 versus 97.
Right, but the $6,000 solution would require more intervention from us, such as update software, update security updates. Now, those don't take a lot of time, but you have to factor in our time when we do have to come in and do that. That's $149 an hour. But typically in an hour, we can do a lot. So we have to factor those costs in. And then you have to factor in whether you're going to have somebody here from the city or something that's going to operate the equipment and turn it on, or are you gonna pay somebody from 906 Technologies to come in for an hour at each meeting and operate the equipment for you?
And that annual estimate, again, for the more budget friendly,
For the more budget friendly, I mean, that is a one-time cost, and then I would say the labor, I really couldn't figure out, again, would be, I would say an hour's labor times the amount of meetings you have in a year, which I'm not quite sure how many meetings you have in a year. But the software is open source. The reoccurring cost would be, your bandwidth cost would be about $250 a month. And then the YouTube TV channel for government is $49 a month. And that meets your retention, all of that kind of stuff that you guys have to have, where if there's a legal case and something needs to get pulled up, there's a certain amount of retention on the meeting that they can recover, do that kind of stuff.
I'm assuming we might have some of that in place already, because we already have a YouTube channel. Are we doing some of that, in terms of government compliance with our YouTube channel?
Mr. Palmer, I do not know that right now. We simply just have that channel. Whether that's for that specific purpose, I don't know.
I don't believe it is right now.
It might just be a free version that we're using, so.
This would include linking the channel and the agendas and everything to the website, so the public, if they went to a meeting the next day, they said, oh, I really wanna look at that meeting, what I said or what was said in it. They can go to the city website, click the link and get taken to that meeting during that date and time.
Mr.
The less expensive option, talk to me about how long we expect that equipment to last. You said 10 years on the spendy
I
option.
would say on the computer to run the software, I would say about 3 to 4 years on that computer. And the average cost of the computer you have there is, I believe, $1,900 for a computer with the monitor, touchscreen. The same thing with the cameras, there's a camera that jumps to the council member that's speaking or to the person from the public that's speaking, that's about $1,900, and that's life expectancy is about 4 years as well. The stuff that's non-negotiable, like the bandwidth and, TV costs, those are gonna be for either solution, you're gonna have those for either solution.
Thank you.
Joe, just in case somebody doesn't know what this means, because some people may not, can you explain what live streaming means?
Yeah, so live streaming is basically carrying this meeting live to the YouTube TV channel, so if somebody's at home, they're sick, whatever it might be, and they wanna watch an actual live council meeting, they'll be able to watch it real time. And then after the meeting is closed out, then it's preserved with that date and time, and that's how it archives it. And, again, that's where you're meeting people, like maybe you got someone that has disabilities and they have a very hard time getting to the city council meeting, but they wanna watch it, they have an interest because of the data centers, right? And they want to see what's going on with it. This gives them the ability to do that, and then gives them, because it gives them the meeting in real time, it gives them time to do rebuttal or response the next day to you folks, to call Nate and talk to him, or submit a letter, right, or whatever it might be that someone from the public would be interested in doing.
Another question I have is, how would this packet, for instance, all this information that we have here that perceivably somebody could go online and look right now because we've published this out there, or somebody here might want to look at it after the meeting, how would this get to them on both versions?
I mean, I don't see the reason why we couldn't put both of these into a PDF format and put it up onto the website and then have the public download it at will and review both packets.
And that would be with the video kinda, or would they be separate?
This
You'd
would be
have to find
separate.
it.
This would be separate, that would be
Okay.
separate. If they needed a document, that would be a separate function. It wouldn't be included in the software. The software is simply a high-quality way to capture audio and video and save it to a website or play it live, like what a TV channel does, a news broadcast does, basically the same thing.
But what we could do potentially is like take a link for that video.
Yep.
Not live, but if it was a link later.
Yep.
Put it on our website and have this next to it or something like
Absolutely.
that, so they
And
can
that is
kind of
what-
follow along.
And that is what other governments do right now, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So any documents from that day, including all of what was talked about in tonight's meetings, would be in a PDF style format under that heading of that date for that meeting, so it corresponds. Documentation corresponds with the live video. So somebody could download any paperwork such as this, and then watch the video to, audit it, or do whatever they want to do to satisfy their questions.
Okay. And the bandwidth we'd have to purchase monthly.
Yes.
You said like $250 or something like that, or whatever it may be.
Right.
Is it kind of like when I go and I rent or pay a subscription for Prime, if I decide I watch one video versus 70 videos in a month, am I losing that bandwidth if I don't use it, or am I just still getting charged for a certain amount, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
it's a one-time charge and it's always there, so what we would be proposing to do is, working with you on the other bandwidth that's at the city right now and reducing one of those connections to cover it, because the fact, it's good that the city meetings are held at night, so it really wouldn't interfere with what the city does during the day using its bandwidth. but the bandwidth it has right now is not adequate to do live streaming. So this would replace, so there would be a cost, and without talking to Ann, I don't have that cost in front of me, but you would be losing that cost of that service right now. I would venture to say you're probably paying around $180 a month right now for your bandwidth.
Okay.
And so that cost would be gone in lieu of this higher quality connection.
And last question I have for now, between the two options, how long would it take for the very expensive option to be deployed versus other option?
The lower end option, the one that we proposed, you're probably talking a matter of a couple of weeks to deploy. The higher end solution, the company would need a couple months to deploy.
Very good. Any further questions from council?
I guess, what you, I heard you say about, when information gets not, you know, and I'm not a techie person, so bear with me. When information like gets almost like gets screened or something, or gets downloaded or something, is that a legality type of thing there whatsoever, or is that just, okay, just connecting the dots?
No, there's nothing.
I have no idea.
I mean, your attorney would be the best person to answer that 100%, but you're actually complying with what the state wants to see by making all of that paperwork available, and the fact that it's in a PDF format, they don't have access to the original, so it's not like if somebody was to download one and do something malicious and edit one and say, well, look at this council member swore during the meeting and I have it right here, that would be something that could be easily refuted because there's a hard copy that's kept that is not editable on the server, which is restricted by rights. So yeah, I don't see any type of potential problem in the fact that most of the governments right now have the exact system, what I'm just explaining to you. So I mean, I think all of them have gone through it quite extensively already. So hopefully I didn't add more questions there.
You answered my question specifically.
Mr. City Manager.
So Joe, with your experience of working with other cities, maybe you don't know the answer to this, I'm not expecting you to, but do other cities that you know of have policies in place concerning things such as this, live streaming, how that video maybe could be edited, how quickly that should get put up, other things of that nature?
You know, they do, but they do it as just a matter that they consider it's course of good business, right, or good for the public, that someone can request that information, like what are your policies on live streaming and what is your data retention policy if I wanna look up a meeting a year from now? But I would say it's about 50-50 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's out of about 6 different government systems we represent right now.
So, Mr. Mayor, I do have a question for our attorney. Would you recommend us having some type of policy in place concerning this? Is that something that concerns you at all, or? What's your, that's probably a loaded question.
All of this kind of concerns me a little bit. Like when we open the door, and we start providing services to the public, we've got to be able to provide them to everybody. And so if we're gonna start going down this road, which I don't think is a bad idea, I'm all for transparency and public involvement. If it were up to me, I would go for the most expensive option because that's the one as your lawyer that I think is the most bulletproof to defend moving forward. Policies and money though are certainly a concern that probably should be wrestled with, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money. I think this is something that probably should be budgeted for. If you're looking for the a la carte, I think what Mr. Menzie is explaining probably does comply with ADA, probably complies with the Open Meetings Act, offers closed captioning, and offers the public, who you're going to be broadcasting to, the opportunity to see what you're seeing and what the people here in the room are seeing. And that's the important part. But if they have disabilities, it has to have closed captioning, availability. So this isn't, it seems easy to put it on the internet and make it accessible to everybody, but I think there's several things involved, not so much legally, but pragmatically and practically as to how how much you spend and what type of options you decide, that's certainly not my purview, but I'm always gonna suggest the one that I think is gonna keep us out of trouble. But I do think the a la carte option is probably sufficient for legal purposes, at least, and the policy probably gives the public some idea as to what it is you're doing.
Very good. John, you got something?
Maybe more a question for the city manager. I mean, this is a job, like, if we go with the less expensive option, this becomes somebody's job, right? To show up here, to make sure the cameras are ready to go, that the internet's working and all that. That, there is no one whose job that is at the moment.
Yes, that is true. There is not a job. Just to be clear, we've been filming on and off, and mostly that had to do with COVID. And so when COVID occurred, people couldn't attend meetings or were afraid to attend meetings, so on and so forth, so we provided that as an extra service. No policy ever was put on it, no considerations about whether it was being done properly or anything like that. It was just something we wanted to get out there, and it was kind of the wild, wild west. I think for a lot of communities it was. So obviously, I think if we're gonna do anything, we wanna make sure we're on the up and up. But we do not have a person currently here to do that. We used to have Brian come in, he would just turn the camera on, but we can have anybody just turn the camera on. So anytime any staff members here after 4 o'clock, just so everybody knows, that's gonna be time and a half by their contract. Well, that's an investment, so you gotta decide you're gonna put that investment there. The other thing is, do they need to stay here the whole time? I guess that'd be a better question for Mr. Menzie, whether or not that staff person is required to be here, what kind of commonality issues do you see, what happens when the internet goes down, what happens if something happens and the power goes out. We still have an obligation to hold a meeting, but there may be a circumstance under policy if the power goes out that we just continue to do the meeting and we can't do the live streaming maybe. Who knows? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions that have to be asked, I think, on the policy side. But maybe Mr. Becker, Mr. Menzie can answer more like what it takes to have a staff member involved at those meetings.
I would say the person should be here for the entire meeting, definitely, because like you said, you don't know what's going to happen in the middle of it. Any number of things, someone walking through the room, trips over a power cord, whatever it could be that could pop up. And so you're gonna want somebody there to address it right away, so if there's minimal disruption or missing data for the public. Could they start it and leave? Absolutely, we could set a timer on it that shuts the connection off after a certain amount of time, so that we don't have to worry about somebody leaving it open and recording all night long, recording in an empty room, right? So those would be some of the considerations that would be involved there. There would be, in our solution, there would also be a agent on there, so that if somebody got in trouble, they could call our help desk number, because as you know, the city has 24/7 coverage with us. The help desk could remote in and help somebody if it's something got too technical for them. But it's really a pretty simple system, as long as there's not a lot added to it or people don't start making changes to it, and we would take steps to ensure that that didn't happen. They're pretty reliable overall.
So you're saying roughly that the technical capabilities is not super high?
No.
Okay. Another concern I also have is within the policy, something the attorney and we would have to discuss further. So what happens if we have technical difficulties all of a sudden? Do we stop the council meeting? So that's another thing you gotta consider. I mean, how long do we wait for? There are times that we've had internet disruptions too in the community. It just happens. But there's something to consider. I don't think I have any more questions, Mr. Mayor, but I would like to provide my advice. I think we have 3 options in front of us. I do think this one here is very pricey. I think, yes, the attorney always wants to make sure we're covered. That's his job, right? I think the second one is sufficient. Also thrifty for the community and is getting across what I think most of the council and the people of this community would like to see. I think the third option, if we don't want to go with either one of these, would simply just be recording the meeting with higher quality camera, higher quality sound, so on and so forth, posting that online with with the agenda. So that's a third option, I think, which would be even cheaper. But I think you should be made aware of all three options that we have. So that's my thoughts on the options. I also think that it may behoove us to determine that this should go to the budget workshop, so we could talk about it in October, to find out which option you guys like to do, and then budget for it for next year, and then direct the city attorney to write up a policy on this issue to cover some of the concerns that were addressed this evening, before we just jump into it. Of course, we can continue to film our meetings as we do already, and move towards a better system in the future, depending on what council like to do. So that's my 2 cents. Whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you.
Good, thank you. Any further council comment? Tracy, please.
If internet drops, so I'm pretty sure it goes off of Charter and Spectrum, will there be an internal memory for all recordings as well?
Yes, it will continue to record locally until the internet comes back up.
Okay.
And you said our platform would essentially be YouTube?
They're saying we could use YouTube, that's YouTube government, so it's a specialized system. We probably have to be certified to show that we actually are the government of Negaunee and not somebody else is just doing it.
That's just because it costs more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I honestly, if you look at, if you look at the YouTube channel currently, the city of Negaunee, YouTube that has put all our videos, I believe it's just videos that have been uploaded to YouTube, right? I did a little bit of due diligence. I think the highest number I saw on there was 67 views, right? Not that ROI has to be monetary every single time, but if we're thinking about putting money into something like this, what is our ROI? Is our ROI getting thousands of our citizens to be able to watch our council meetings? And I believe maybe that's our return on the investment, is to see our citizens being able to see this. But how do we reach out? You know, Jeff, I know you're pretty big on this. How do we reach out and touch our citizens to have more than 65, 67 views when we're paying thousands of dollars for a service? And I think that's something, if we do move on with this and bring it to a budgeting session, how do we navigate through that and figure out how to get this word out there? Because now if we're doing YouTube and we can say our citizens don't understand YouTube, well, now they gotta understand YouTube government, and if you've ever been on a government website, it's 10 times harder than anything, right? So I think that's something that we really need to discuss, what's our actual ROI on the investment, when it comes to the nuts and bolts of things, so that's, yes, sir.
I got more. Mr. Mayor, you've bring up an interesting point, because when we were talking about this when I first got here, when the city of Negaunee had a PEG channel, and that was discontinued because Charter got rid of that program. Ishpeming has a PEG channel because they had a different agreement, and they have that forever now, and that type of channel is no longer afforded to any communities. So we attempted to try to get it back from Charter, and we went with the mayor, we went with the attorneys. This is like one of the first things that we did. We went with a public survey saying, hey, these people want to see this back in play. And we could use that channel for other stuff too, educational things, and I don't know how many people in the audience have ever watched the old channel way back in the day, but it was available at one point, and there's some pertinent information that was put on there. Now, I do understand that channel was not watched a lot. It's similar to the YouTube situation, but we were denied, and so we really had no good option after that. We do kind of have an option now, I think, better than we had back in 2018. But I do know, because I did a little research on that too, because I was curious to see, and there's probably better analytical data when we pay for like a $45 site or $49 site. When you look at somebody that is counted as a viewer on YouTube, they've only had to watch that video for 5 seconds, okay? Now, if that video gets posted on a platform such as Facebook, it only has to be watched for 3 seconds, it's counted as a view. So And on top of that, you can go back multiple times to be counted throughout several days and be counted even further. So you might see a higher viewership on Facebook, like 500 or something like that, but how many people are actually watching that? So down the back end, I don't know, you're talking about return on investment. I don't know on the YouTube channel if we're able to actually look at the analytics, maybe Joe knows some of this answer, to see who's fully watching the video completely, which is not a requirement, watch part of it, or just float over that for 3 seconds and really didn't watch it at all.
Yeah, so you can definitely put analytics on it that would capture all of that information for you, but you have to have the raw data to feed into it first, right? So it would have to be in operation. But I guess it's important to consider that none of this is contractual, so meaning none of it's like if you sign up for YouTube government TV, first of all, yes, you can do live streaming all day on it and do other public service announcements and things, such as the senior center will not be open this Wednesday because they're getting plumbing work done, right? All of that kind of stuff can be put on there as well, but you can cancel at any time. So at some point in time, if you go through an evaluation phase, yes, you're out some of the equipment that you might have paid for, but I don't want you to feel like you're obligated for 3 years or 5 years or something of that nature. You're not. And the only other point that I would reiterate about the viewing, a lot of this, though, I believe was brought about because we're concerned about what happens if a handicapped person comes forward and says, I've been trying to watch or see things from this commission forever, and I can't, because they refuse to take the initiative to put something in closed caption for me, or to put it in only audio that I can take my time and listen to with my equipment at home. So that was the other part of what this was addressing, the Open Meetings Act and stuff, and I think that's an important part for you to consider in all of it.
Very good. Thank you. Anything further, council?
I would just comment a little bit on like the amount the city website doesn't get a lot of use. Some of that might be, sometimes the videos aren't downloaded for weeks, even a month, and we've skipped many of them too. And I know Cricket on her channel, she's recorded them. She has on some of them over 700 views.
Okay.
So
I was gonna ask you.
because she uploads those the night of the meeting most of the time.
Yep.
So, and she gets a lot of views because it's more current. You know, you think 2-3 weeks out, people have kind of forgotten about it, and they've probably gotten the news already about what went on. If there's something, one of the things I think a lot of people like about the live, as opposed to showing up every night, they might have one issue. They might want to just put YouTube on and wait for that to come up. You know, one particular issue that's on the agenda, rather than coming all the way down and waiting a long time for that to come out, they can be in the comfort of their own house, see the meeting live. There's an appeal to that, just like watching a football game live. No one wants to see it 3 weeks later, right? I mean, you might watch highlights, but, so I agree that maybe we don't have the greatest viewership with the city, but that might change if we do have it live. And one quick question about the YouTube government, is it any more difficult to search, or is it all still blended with the rest of YouTube?
It's also blended, it just has higher security, better controls on it from people that might wanna post malicious things.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
So it's not necessary for the consumer any harder to access?
No, and then they don't have all of the data constraints that a private person would have, or may have to buy a personal account for type of thing. You're paying for the storage space and recovery.
Make a motion?
Yes, sir. Let's do that.
To direct the city manager and city attorney to develop policy around the use of this live streaming technology, and to proceed with bringing us a plan to include the less expensive option here, the $6,000 option, in the budgeting for the 2027 year.
I would second that.
Very good.
So direct the city manager and attorney to
Develop the policies needed to implement this live streaming.
I'm getting there, live streaming. The live streaming, just then that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Option number 2.
Yeah, for option number 2.
For option number 2, okay. That is a very wordy motion.
Sorry. If these were recorded, you just find it back.
Yeah, did someone second that? Okay.
Mr. Becker, anything further?
No, I think, this is what we've asked for, and, you know, the $6,000 option seems to, get the job done without, being, you know, outrageous.
Very good.
But there's a lot of details we're still gonna hammer out.
Jeff, anything further?
Agree with John, good, a budget-friendly way of getting done what, you know, we've kind of been wanting to get done, so it looks good to me.
Absolutely. Very good. Thank you. Any further council comments? Dave?
I think that's a good idea, it just moves the ball down the road, that concern that people have had for quite a while. And things not being uploaded, this and that, just, now it's more instantaneous, so it's a good thing to keep moving with this, but I also like the idea of like, it's not a budget item, let's move it into 2027, and let's deal with from there, and also have some, legalese thrown in there too, to keep us covered.
Very good. Very good. Amanda, Tracy? Nothing? Seeing none? With that, let's take a vote. All in favor of directing the city manager and city attorney to... Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I can't. Motion to
develop the policy needed to implement the live streaming for option number 2.
Very good, thank you, Dave. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes, thank you. Moving on, 8.3, Michigan Municipal League Conference Discussion. Dave, background, please.
The mayor has asked that this topic be on the agenda. The conference is October 7 through 9. Hotel costs are $259 plus tax a night, and the registration for the conference is $650. These expenses are not budgeted in the 2026 city council budget. Depending on council members attending the MML conference, the October 8th regular council meeting may need to be moved to October 15th.
Very good, thank you. Me, Mr. City Manager?
I got some comments if you want first, Mr. Mayor. So just a little bit of history. The council has never been advised to budget for conferences or meetings or anything like that. Typically, that's just mostly because the availability of council members. A lot of council members in the past have had day jobs. It makes it very difficult to go to a conference like this sometimes. However, there has been some growing interest since last time we had gone, and I've had other council members in the past ask about information. You do get information from the MML in a timely manner. You should be getting a magazine, I believe, every so often about this annual convention. The convention offers lots of opportunity to learn things. I don't have it in my packet, but I believe you guys might have a little packet of information that tells you what's there. This is an opportunity for you to learn more about your role and position. In addition to that, you get to meet other council members, mayors, and learn about things going around, the different options and activities going on around the state, concerns. So it's just a learning opportunity. It's a very legitimate expense. Many cities send a delegation. Not all go, but you can certainly all go. You have the ability to do that if you decide. And so what we've done in the past, former Mayor Kangas has gone to a couple mayoral conferences, I think 2, and we just bring you the information, what it costs, why he's going, and then it's up to the council to make a decision if they want to move forward with that with a budget adjustment. We do have the money to send folks should they want to go. This year's conference is in Traverse City, so it's a bit closer. It would be recommended that you go the Wednesday, Thursday, and stay the night those 2 nights, and leave on Friday. So I'm here to answer any questions about that conference, should you have any.
Very good, thank you. With jumping off of Nate here, I had the privilege of going last year, and the things that I was able to learn, the people I was able to meet, even sitting down for breakfast on, I believe it was Friday morning, sitting at a table and gentleman across the table asked me where I was from. I introduced myself as the mayor of the city of Negaunee. Then immediately said, "Oh, you must be Mike's boy." And I said, "Of course you know my dad. He was the mayor of Gaylord." And I got to know him quite well that morning, and then met a lot of the Gaylord City Council throughout that time. And you learn a lot about all these little cities, all these little nuances they have. You know, again, Gaylord came up for their city council quite a bit throughout my time there. And we talked to them, I talked to them about, you know, well, what's your biggest issue? What do you have going on in Gaylord? And they say, nobody wants to stop in Gaylord, right? As you're driving north, you're 45 minutes from the bridge. And as you're driving south, you've already stopped at the bridge 45 minutes ago. So how do we get people to stop in Gaylord? And we had really, really nice conversations about that. And then you have the opportunity Thursday and Friday to go to the breakout sessions. I mean, I could tell stories of different things in breakout sessions that I was able to do. I mean, the lady that I sat next to from Flint was just an absolute hoot. Another council member were screaming back and forth at each other about internal Flint conflicts, and it was absolutely hilarious. But that prompted the instructor of the breakout session to really hone in on issues that you might see within your council. And you learn about different councils and how they have different budgetary restraints, or how different councils decide different things. And it was very enlightening. And I would say that for anybody that wants to continue on this council, whether we're coming off the council or planning to come back on the council, or this is your one and only time being on the council and you decided this is it for me, and just to get a good understanding of how our municipal government works, not only in Negaunee but the state of Michigan, I think it's an excellent, excellent conference, something that I thoroughly enjoyed. And then a little caveat on that is on Friday morning, the final session, Nate, as a city of Negaunee, after we have voted on Thursday for the next Community Excellence Award participant, which there'll be 4 communities there which we can visit with. They will show us what they've done to earn that Community Excellence Award. We all have voting privileges. And then Friday morning, as a city of Negaunee, which won that award last year, we have the ability to hand off that award to the next city, which I think shows that those of us that have been on this council, those that we were all on this council when we accepted that award last year. So what a great honor it is to hopefully be able to hand that off to another great municipality in the state of Michigan. So with that, I ask of you to speak about this, and let's get a group of us to go together and attend this conference together. I think it'd be excellent. So with that, I will entertain a motion, and then we can talk about it. Okay, Dave, thank you.
I'll make the motion. MMM convention discussion, and then just appropriate verbiage that would be my motion.
I think the motion would be to allow for council members to attend the MML convention with the moving of the regular council meeting of October 8th to the 15th.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Then we can, yeah.
When, the 15th? 15th of October. Correct. So that's Dave.
I will second that motion.
Okay.
Very good. Anything further, Dave?
said, I've been to two of these, I've been one that was in Port Huron, and then one that was down Frankenmuth. One at Frankenmuth was cool, Polish city, and then it was neat. Frankenmuth's a neat area. But the biggest thing I learned is that, because, when I first got on council, I wasn't really sure of what, you get these packets, you get the charter, you get rules and ordinances, this, that type of stuff, it's like, you can get a little bit of information overload. But these conferences, they put it very clearly, point blank, in something for which I could understand very easily the expectations of being on council, what the public expects from you of being on council, and the do's and don'ts of being on council. Your limitations, what you can do, what you can't do, because there's some things on council we can do that we could get the city in trouble. And that's things that I learned. So sometimes I may seem a little tight-lipped sometimes, but that's because of things I've learned at these conferences. So I learned a lot from them. I throw my hand up. I'd be willing to go, down to this, because it's a valuable resource. Some people may say, "Oh, you're taking a trip." Oh yeah. You get in your car and you drive to Munis and you're taking a trip. Yeah, but what's the purpose of it? What are you learning? There is a purpose, and I think it's invaluable.
All right, very good, thank you. I think the one of the breakout sessions I did last year was Robert's Rules of Order, where that was incorporated in it, and it was, really, we went over exactly what we need to abide by, as far as that Robert's Rules of Order, so, great session. Any further council comments, any comments, interests?
I have a question. Is it something that all of us are going to be able to attend with that, if we're technically discussing we're not discussing city business, but we're all in the same place, would that be a violation of
Considered a
open
quorum?
meetings? Yeah.
You start discussing city business.
Yeah. So one thing you would not want to do is have 3 or more of you discussing city business. My suggestion is you don't discuss any city business, right? And learn from the conference, meet other people, discuss city business with them if you want to. And then when you come back, it would be a good idea to just have a discussion for the council members that didn't go and what you learned, and to show if there was value in it, if you thought there was value in it.
And I think what if a group of us goes, I think what you will notice is that as you start moving around, everybody there is more than willing to. There's nobody standing on the wall, right? I don't know, I wish there was somebody to talk to, but everybody there is in the same shoes as you, where we're all trying to learn from each other, and I kind of pled my case to you already, but I think you would notice that you wouldn't cling to the rest of our council, right? You would get out there and find other people to talk to. And of course, you all got your big lanyard badges and tells you who you are, and you find people.
They're good conferences.
John, Jeff, Tracy?
I'm not opposed to the idea, it sounds interesting. I am worried from budgetary points of view. It seems like this could become a rather expensive trip, depending on how many people went with hotel, the fees to go there. What would we be looking at and who's invited? Everyone on the city council?
That's up to us.
Okay, that's what I'd be concerned. The cost, the overall cost, let's say 5 people went, looking at the fees for
We're looking at $6,000.
hotel fees, yeah. I'm just concerned, I think it's a little excessive of an expense, given, I think we should be tightening our budget a little more, and even though it is a neat opportunity, and I can see there's value in it, there's a lot of free stuff online to learn all this same stuff, and right now, I'm just concerned that this could be a rather expensive trip. considering, you know, overall a budget, which I think we should be kind of, reining in a little at this point.
John, anything?
No, I mean, I think these opportunities are always good, chances for people to learn, and I think we can all, you know, we're all sitting here because we wanna be here, we could all always do better, and it's important to, you know, see how to do that.
Sure. Tracy? Nothing? With that, come to a vote. When is your no later than date? Pending we pass this.
We would need to know now, because if you don't act, then the price goes up, because this is the early bird special.
Okay.
Plus you wanna be able to get the.
Like Denny's?
Book prior, you kind of go fast.
Sure. Okay, with that,
But out of fairness, say Kevin's not here tonight, you know, cause maybe he does, you know, say you and I wanna go, yeah, okay, great, let's go. What if Kevin would've wanted to go, is there a way we can kind of little bit room there for the possibility?
Sure, absolutely. I think
You
we
know,
can,
just to,
maybe what we do is, yes, sir.
So I guess my suggestion first is to find out who here right now would be interested in going. And then you could add in Kevin, if you decide you want to go forward with this. That's your cap then.
Right.
Because then there might be some people that can't go, don't want to go, have a different opinion. And then you have the cap on the cost, and then that's the way it is.
Right.
So I don't know who's all interested in
We're gonna do some math here.
besides you and him right now.
It looks like that early bird rate is through the end of the month, through 8/28, so
Yep.
there is some time to get that sorted.
Yeah. So if 4 of you are wanting to go, it would be $400.
Okay,
Basically.
sure.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Would be the
About $4,800. So you could put a hard cap of 5, you know, so for four, if that's, I mean, I guess the question first would be, who's interested in going that's here now and would want to go? And then you can add Kevin in there if you wanted to proceed with the vote.
So of present council members who would like to attend the 2026 MML conference? Dave? Tracy?
I've got other obligations
Okay.
already.
So I would like to attend myself. Amanda?
I won't be able to.
No? Okay. John?
I would like to, but I don't know if I'm available that date, I'll have to confirm that.
It is a Wednesday through Friday. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Jeff?
No, I wouldn't be able to.
No?
So Mr. Mayor, you could, if Mr. Becker still wants to determine, you could just leave it as an open-ended thing, where you could still, Kevin should be afforded the opportunity, he's not
Right,
here.
absolutely.
So you could say 4 still, if John decided he didn't wanna go, you still have a hard cap.
Right, absolutely. So I think our number is 4, which would be, what's that dollar amount? Probably. Oh, yeah, per night, okay, so I'm gonna do different math there.
You got tax in there too, so,
For municipality, you pay tax.
well, we don't pay sales tax, but we do pay luxury tax, whatever they wanna call it, they get their money no matter what.
Room tax.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'd say we'd be, you know, if we capped it at, a cap of $5,000, Dave?
that's fair.
So we wanna amend that, your motion, to cap it at $5,000, which would afford four of us,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed.
So that's an amendment. Cost not to exceed, what was that, $5,000?
Yes.
You just increase the travel and training budget from the, you increase the travel and training budget of the city council with a drawdown from the general fund, that up to $5,000.
Wow.
Draw down, what was that?
Travel and training budget, city council travel and training budget. General fund.
Alright, got it.
No, second round.
So that's ordinance. Alright.
Alright, since we're talking dollars, no further council comment?
As a point of order, do we have a second on this?
I do, yes,
Okay,
I
okay.
second this one. And we've had our, so we will, because we're talking dollars and cents here, we will do another, roll call vote, please, Dave.
Alright, Kangas,
Yes.
Dietz,
Yes.
Granabate,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Plummer,
No.
Ilmanen. Yes. Motion passes, thank you, Dave. Alright, I will reach out to Kevin. And I'll get you his yea or nay by tomorrow. Okay. Very good, moving on. 8.4, Miller Road bids. Dave, go back on please.
The city of Negaunee was awarded a grant through the Michigan State Police Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division in 2024 for $250,000 to assist in repair efforts associated with Miller Road after the spring melt-off that happened in 2023. In June of 2026, Benish Engineering was approved for the engineering of this project in the amount of $26,400, which is reimbursable from the grant. City staff solicited bids for the repairs of Miller Road on August 5th, 2026. 6 bids were received. Cary Environmental, $333,381. Smith Construction, $278,953. Lindbergh, $273,967. Payne and Doyle, $283,950.50. Moyle Trucking, $303,632.76. Oberstar, $241,773. Recommendation: city staff and Benish recommend is to award the bid to the lowest bidder, Oberstar, in the amount of $241,773. This is a reimbursable grant and will be paid from the street maintenance fund in the general fund.
Any further background, Mr. Senior?
Yes, so you'll see, in this description, Dave has mentioned that, the engineering cost is about $26,400. The Obastar, lowest bid, lowest qualifying bid, from our perspective and recommendation, is $241,773. That's over the $250,000. In what we would be getting from the state of Michigan to cover the repairs to this road. So, in talking with Mark Donatello, who is taking up this project, has designed the project for us, he believes that we can still save money on this project to keep it at that $250,000 mark. With doing some of the work ourselves on a few items like restoration, that's basically putting some topsoil on the sides of the roads, on the shoulder, putting seed down so it doesn't wash away, maybe a couple other little things here and there. So we're hoping to save about $20,000 in house and savings so we can kind of keep that cost at that $250,000 mark. This is a great opportunity because that road, as anybody knows, have driven down it, is rough. So just to be clear, it's not just Miller Road. It's also going to be Rolling Mill Road. They kind of combine together a bit. So there'll be some long-standing issues with some erosion that we've had in that area taken care of on those roads. Some culvert replacements, and then some ditching to some degree, so the water can actually get off the road and go somewhere. So when we plow that road in the wintertime, we sometimes are building up those shoulders and the water can't leave properly. So it's not a super important road, right? Because not very many people live on it, they kind of live on the ends. So we try to take care of those the best we can. But we still have an obligation to make sure we can keep that road passable for whoever may need to use it, because there are other properties out there as well. So, this is a great opportunity, even though, you know, we face this disaster. This money is sitting here waiting for us, and, according to Mark, he does believe we can, get this project completed still yet this year, so.
Very good, thank you. With that, I will entertain a motion to award the bid to the lowest bidder of Overstar in the amount of $241,773.
So moved.
John? Support. And Tracy. All right, anything further, John?
No, it's a good project. It's gonna come in, close to hopefully, what we have in terms of, funding available for it. And, glad that Mark, has eyes on that, because, he's super familiar with the needs of that project, so. We're gonna come in.
Tracy?
I like going after John, I don't need to say anything.
You know, any further council comment? Dave, Amanda, Jeff? No, seeing none, all right, well, with that, we'll go for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Number 8.5, Robbins Flooring Mill Agreement. Now,
I will let the city attorney and Nate handle this.
Mr. Mayor, so we do have this email that was provided this afternoon, where they are going to rescind their request to rent out the rink. That has come in a formal declaration after having a conversation with the Vice President of Operations there. There was some hope that because we have an off-season with the ice arena, that we may have been able to use that property in a different manner, which would have been allowing that company to come in and assemble the floors like we talked about last month. However, we continued to have some conversations with the DNR, and in light of us putting the application in with the DNR too for the ice arena, it's our understanding that that property is encumbered, and we knew that was encumbered, but they don't consider off-season to even be in the mix. So there's no such thing in their mind's eye as off-season. So with that said, that property still has to remain for recreational use only. No other activity can happen there. So the weddings can still happen. The birthdays can still happen. I did talk to the grant administrator on that. Things like they do, sometimes they do softball in there, baseball. Sometimes they do, they do the kids' activity there every year for Pioneer Week. So those things can still go on, but unfortunately, given the circumstances of the nature of this activity, they are saying that tied to the federal grant, they are saying that's a hard no. So with that said, we had a conversation with them. They understood. They were obviously disappointed. It was an opportunity for the city to gain $14,000 in a good relationship at a facility that we're not using basically in the summertime. Perhaps we can find other means down the road after we finish our projects. But at this time, and I do not see anything past the foreseeable future, because this thing has been in place for over 40, 50, 60 years, for us to have that opportunity transpire. So with that said, they just rescinded, and that's the reason.
That's it? All right. No more. Do we have to make any movement on that? No. Very good. Moving on. Number 9, consent agenda. 9.1, minutes, July 16th, 2026, regular minutes. 9.2, claims and accounts. 9.3, revenue expenditure trial balance reports. 9.4, match on main old school administration building. 9.5, Clark River Bridge invoice. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Dave. And Tracy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All right, moving on, number 10, closed session per SEC 15.268 alpha to consider personnel evaluation if the named person requests a closed session.
Move that we move into closed session, to consider the personnel evaluation.
Very good, thank you. And Dave will second that. All right, can we do a roll call vote?
I would say discussion first.
Okay,
Any discussion on that?
any further discussion on that?
Yeah, the personnel evaluations are done, in private by the person's superiors. That's this body. I know that there are a lot of people out here that are curious and interested, but this is how representative democracy works. They elect us to sit in the seats and do the job, and the job is on us to review and evaluate the city manager, and, not on the population as a whole.
Very good, thank you.
Yep, John, very good explanation of Civics 101.
Any further council comment?
I would just like to say that I think that if the public wants to hear it, that they should be able to hear it. But that's my opinion.
Very good, any further?
Mayor.
Tracy?
I have a question. If it doesn't go into closed session, then what happens?
Then we would just have the review in, open.
And what if there's a tie for yeas and nays?
Then it would fail, and it would have to be done openly.
I guess I understand the nature of evaluations, why they're often private. I think, from my understanding, for citizens' benefit, I believe the evaluation is FOIA-able. I don't know if the attorney can attest to that, but I believe once that does become part of the public record, if somebody wants to FOIA, at least the information I found. If somebody were so, interested, I understand the meetings can't be recorded, and there's certain rules with that, but everything I found was that those documents are public record if somebody wants to take the time to do a FOIA.
If you want me to answer that from the hip, you're probably right as to most of the documentation. But again, subject to my research on that issue, but if we got a FOIA, we would evaluate it, but, like you said, the closed session would not be.
Right.
But the underlying documentation probably would be.
That's my understanding of the situation as well.
And that's understandable. There's no difference in a closed session meeting that probably are best between the employers and the employee.
Use an opportunity, I believe, also for you to be more candid if you'd like.
With that, we will go into a vote, and we will do a roll call vote on this one, Dave, please.
Kangas,
Yes.
Dietz,
Nay.
Ganavate,
Nay.
Becker,
Yes?
Plummer,
Yes.
Yes.
Hillman.
Very good, motion passes. We will go into closed session.
Huh?
After? Yes.
Yeah. Yup. Yes.